Hey everybody, it's me Jules, and I want to welcome you to the Renew Show, where we hope you'll find real knowledge for your journey. We are very excited to have you with us tonight. We have an awesome guest, and I will be introducing her in a few minutes, but first I'm going to let my co-host say hello.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in, and we know you're going to have a great show.
Hi everybody, thanks for tuning in. It's going to be awesome, and I'm so excited for tonight.
So first, I wanted to tell you that I think I'm going to give you a little bit of behind the scenes on Renew. I just was thinking today when I was going through the questions, you know, they might wonder, how do we learn about our guest? How do we even know anything about them or come up with these questions before the guest even talks? Or we bring up references that maybe they didn't mention. When we get a guest booked on Renew, we ask them to send us 5 videos that really represent their journey, and then we draw questions from that. So I just thought that maybe you guys would like to know that. So if I say, you said this, and you have no idea when she said that, you'll understand where I got this from. Okay, I just thought you guys would like to know that. We have a very special guest with us tonight. Her name is Angela, and her channel is Changesby40. And I've been following her for quite a few months, and she's married with 2 children. She's lost a significant amount of weight, and she's been on the path to good health since 2009. So she has been through ups and downs all along the journey, and she has a great story. And so, Angela, we'd like to welcome you, and we're going to give you a chance to share a little bit about your journey, and then we'll ask you some questions.
Hi, everyone. What should I say here? I'd like to give everyone a background of where I've come from. I was a child that was quite healthy looking on the outside, very thin. But the one thing that stood out in my childhood was when I went to school. And when I went to middle school, per se, a lot of people were athletic, and they were really into their athleticism, you know what I mean? Like the teachers were very much like that. They focused more on the students being really good in sports, and that's where I failed. I would go to gym class, and I always had that fear because she would say, if you don't get this, Angela, we're going to keep you after class, or you're going to get it right, you know? So, I was always very weak, and I was very clumsy, so a lot of people didn't pick me in sports and things like that. Actually, they used to pick on me quite a bit for it, but didn't stop me. You know, I tried to do the best I could, and it wasn't that I wasn't physically like able to do some stuff. Like after school, I'd be the swimmer, I would be the skipper, things like that. So I came from that way, but I didn't eat very well when I was a kid. You know, I drank a lot of pop, I ate chocolate, I did all those kind of things, and didn't take care of my health. My weight didn't really start coming on until I graduated high school. And when I graduated high school, I would gain anywhere from 10 to 20 pounds, and then I would just usually do a DVD or work out or do what I could to try to get the weight off. But my turning point for me, I felt, in my weight journey and things like that, why I gained a lot of weight was I had an incident where my grandmother had passed away. My mother was diagnosed with lung cancer, and I had to face seeing her dying because she couldn't get treatment. She was dying. And I remember it was my first moment of knowing that I had some kind of emotional eating thing, because while I remember this one thing, and this just came up this week, that's why I'm sharing it right now. I didn't realize it until now. I was in a breaking point, and she was in her apartment. I left her, and I went and got a box of 6 Gel Louis. If you don't know what Gel Louis are, they're chocolate cakes. And I just shoved them in my mouth right in front of her. And she was horrified. She was like, what are you doing? What are you doing this for? And I didn't know why, but I was just so upset. And from there on, after my mom passed, it was probably 4 years of me binge on chocolate and Coke, and just trying to find something that would help me emotionally to deal with a lot of the pain I was going through. Because after her, I had lost two more relatives on her side that died too. So, so I found myself in 2007 sitting there. My highest weight was 190. It doesn't sound very high, but in actual fact, on my frame and that, I was quite big in my eyes and others. My health was like I would fall asleep at the wheel if I didn't drink pop or eat chocolate and things like that. So what was a godsend for me was my husband got another job and I had to resign from my position, and we moved away. And from there, that's when my journey kind of started. I started to find out that I would go to gym classes, or I would go walking up a mountain, or I took a belly dancing class. I was the biggest girl, and it was a struggle. But it started out that way, and I started to lose weight. But it wasn't until 2009 that I actually was taking on a program called Beachbody, and Beachbody had a lot of videos back then, so I started out with the Power 90, and I got through 3 months of it, but ran into a lot of problems with people making me feel very self-conscious of my weight loss, and I got to a point where my weight loss had got to a certain level that I just got really resentful towards people and just started to binge eat again and just shove it down and put on the weight. So it wasn't until what I always say in my videos, May 2011, that I made a change, because I was sitting there in a new town. I didn't know anyone. And I had this dreadful fear that I was going to die at 54 like my mom. And I didn't want my kids to go through that. So that's when I said to myself, you know, enough is enough. I'm not doing this to be thin. I'm not doing this for any other reason but to be healthy and to try to live the healthiest as I can for my children, right? And for my husband and for myself, I've realized later. But so yeah, I started out by doing programs. And what I mean by programs is Power 90, Power 90 Masters, Power 90X, then a Sanity, and I got to a point where after a year, that's when my fears and things were coming up, but I fought through that, and now I'm at, the lowest I've been is 119 on my journey. I've been kind of maintaining over a year now, but my weight has gone up a little bit this last month, but I'm still under 130. So I hope it gave you enough information, sorry.
No, you covered a lot. I'm actually impressed. I have a really important question to ask right at the beginning. I know that you being on Renew is very significant, and it is something that really means a lot to you. Can you explain to everybody what exactly does being on Renew mean to you as far as conquering fears that you have?
Yeah. I find that a lot of the issues I face right now with the weight off is that I have fears of being self-conscious and the way I present myself, how I come across, and worried socially about things. You know, I go out in social aspects and I'm just nervous that people are judging me. So I thought this was the best opportunity to come in and face my fear of exposing myself to a larger audience and just letting myself deal with my anxiety or my fear, and to be able to conquer something that I don't want to hold me back in my life.
And I know, Angela, you said in one of your videos, because I kind of do the opposite, because I know when you send in saying what you want us to watch, I'll watch some of those, but then I go and watch other videos to try to pick things out too, to mix it up a little bit. And one of the things you said that is so important for everybody is to try something out of your comfort zone. And you said that in a video, and it made me really think, you know, that's true. I don't like doing, if there's something I just don't like to do as far as an exercise or something else, then I'm not going to do it. but there's things that I like to do that I feel like are out of my comfort zone. So that's amazing that you said that. And I just want to say right now, when I was done watching your videos last night, I sat here and I said, there is a lady that is going to make it. She is going to do this for the rest of her life. And that is true.
Thank you for the compliment.
You're more than welcome.
Yeah. Where I stem from that is, I think it brings me back to what I was talking about with the gym class. It's that no one's going to tell me I can't do something, and the better way for me to reassure that I do have confidence in myself is to face the ones that I hate, the stuff I hate. Like, for instance, last May I tried running. I hated running. I would taste the blood when they made me run around the town for 3 miles, and I was dreading it, and I would be like, I will never pick up running. And when I did face it by going and trying running, it just spiritually did something for me. It opened up something, because I took something that was difficult for me and I didn't let it conquer me. So I still do that. I do find the thing that I hate the most. Like, for instance, I hate baseball. So more than likely in the future, I'll be trying baseball, just because I could say at least I tried it. It's not something that I'm going to let stand over me or feel like I can't do.
That is amazing.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead, Jules.
Okay. I know everyone is dying to know about the belly dancing class. You said that you were one of the biggest girls in the class, and that I just know that I know people, there's many people that avoid the gym just because they're embarrassed or something like that. You know, I mean, I'm 153 pounds, and I think that I would be totally terrified to try out belly dancing in a class. How, like, what made you try it? How did you get into that? And then how'd you get so brave? Like, what gave you that courage?
I don't think I'm so self-conscious with strangers compared to people that know me. So if I knew anyone in that class, I would have been a lot more self-conscious. So it came down to, I had just taken a Pilates class. I really wanted to get healthy. And then I noticed that they were offering a belly dancing class. And I said, you know, I do not have any skills in dancing, so I've got to try this. Right? So I got in there, and there's mirrors everywhere, and you're looking at yourself in the mirror while you're doing these hip movements, and I'm like, oh! So I started standing in the back of the class, but then I started noticing these girls that were physically fit couldn't care less about what I was doing. They were just trying to focus on the steps themselves. Like, sometimes I think we forget that people are so self-absolved, or how you say that, but they think of themselves because they are feeling a self-consciousness, even if they're thin. So it was actually during the performance, we had to perform at the end, that I felt that I was kind of not ready yet to be on stage, because I went to this dinner and then we had to get up there, and I started to do the dance. And then I was like, in my mind, it was like, oh no, people are going to notice that you're bigger than the other girls. But you know what? I said to myself, I don't get this moment back, so I'm just going to get through it. And I think that's what is the key. You need to put it in your mind that this is only going to last temporarily. So if I could get through this embarrassment for 5-10 minutes, really, at the end, you look back and you go, wow, I just did that. How did I do that? But you just talked yourself into it, right? And that would be my way. That's how I got through the belly dancing class. So.
And that's an important message, because when we go to the gym or we're around people, we're embarrassed to do certain things. I mean, I remember even now when I run, I'm always thinking like, oh, those people in the car that just drove by probably think like, look at that girl and her flabs bouncing around. I still like have that in my head. And it's important to get beyond that and not let that stop us from being successful, because chances are they're not even, you know, they're doing their thing. So that's a good message.
I think it's the way of showing your self-esteem in a sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I haven't been in the gym, but I deal with the same thing when it comes to working out with people, and like I said, even when Julie said with running, always worrying about what someone else is thinking, and like you said, I just say, in 2 minutes I'll probably pass this person, and I'll never see them again. And I could either cower in fear for those 2 minutes, or I can get past it and move on with the rest of my life and never see them and be happy I did it.
Angela, we have a question coming in from Crazy Running Mom Brooke, and she asks, would you say that fear and avoidance are the same thing?
Fear and avoidance, are they the same thing? No, I see them differently. Because fear, I think you can feel it inside your body. Your heart's palpitating and you can't get by it, right? Avoidance is more mentally you're going, it's more like an excuse thing. It's more of a, I'm going to make a reason in my head that I'm not going to be able to do this. So yeah, I feel they're different, but that's my opinion, not.
I also wanted to ask a question because I noticed in one of your videos you talked about that you were addicted to chocolate, and you said many, many times Coca Cola. And I love that because most people just say Coke, and I love the way you referred to Coca Cola all the time. And we're not sponsored by Coke, just so everybody knows. Just saying. And so you said that you were addicted to Coca Cola as early as 4 years old, and that you drank nothing else. Can you
lived in
just a little bit?
Yeah, I lived in a mining town. They had a lot of things shipped in planes, and a lot of supply didn't come in. So I think a lot of people couldn't get the fresh milk and things like that. So my parents bought Coca-Cola because Coke doesn't go bad, right? So we had Coke everywhere in our house. And my husband hates when I say I'm addicted to Coke because, and that's why I say Coca-Cola, is because he's like, oh, people are going to think you're into the, Coke,
Yeah.
But I did feel that way, though. I felt like I was addicted to a very strong drug. Like I mentioned in one of my videos, a can being open, it would just make me drool because I could hear shh. And I had a love affair with Coca-Cola. Like, I just loved it. And see, I kind of came to realization this week that I always did have certain addictions. When I was a teenager, I had cigarettes. I smoked from the time I was 12 until I was 19. From there, I took up of addictions in my 20s. I started to turn towards food a little bit, but mostly alcohol. And when I got to my 30s, it was food. It was food. I had kicked not drinking. I stopped smoking cigarettes. And it was just the focus about food. And that was what would heal me. But the problem was when I started my journey, I got to 150 pounds. And the things I'd never dealt with all through my childhood and all through my adulthood were surfacing. And until I could face those fears, food was going to rule me because that's how I would push them back down so I wouldn't have to deal with them, right? So, but yeah, Coca-Cola will still be in my mind my favorite thing from my childhood, but it also probably made me very unhealthy. I was thin, but I was very unhealthy. I was addicted to it. And my nails actually went black. And a doctor told my mom, it's because she's not drinking milk. I knew my best friend, I thought all his teeth were going to fall out. They were rotten because he ate so much candy and drank Coke.
Oh.
So I have a question. You work out a lot. You love working out, and I mean, you have for a while. You even talked about all the different Beachbody products you went through. How do you prevent yourself from getting burned out, from getting so obsessed with being healthy and working out so much that you just kind of get burned out and stop?
Well, in 2009, when I started working out 7 days a week, I did go through that Because what happens is when I work out, it's almost like turning on a switch. And I obsess over it. It's like, oh, okay, you know what? I feel strong enough now. Let's go to a kickboxing class. Okay, now let's do this. Now let's do that. Oh, I have time to do push-ups. Boom, 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 boom. So I learned from the beginning of my journey that that doesn't work for me. I need to find that happy medium. And how I can find that is providing myself, telling my mind, work out an hour a day the most and no more. Because if I don't, I'm going to burn out. I have. In 2009, I did. 2011, I realized I can't do that. I can't be always doing it. But I don't like that about me either, that I can be so driven, but then in a minute later, turn off a switch. So even this week, I've only worked out 4 days a week, like to a tenth of working out. That's what I meant. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard because it could be.
And the audience is saying only 4.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's because I've always walked. Like my mother used to take us out on journeys, and we go for like 5-hour walks. You know. So I think that's what kept my weight under 200 pounds is because when I make a decision that I need to be healthy, I can turn that part of my life, like I can get working out, I can push myself. It's the food that's always held me back from everything. And that's because my fears are driving my food, right?
We have a question from Diane K. She said, people use the word anxiety. What is real anxiety? I really don't know, but want it explained. So in a short version, how would you describe what anxiety is?
I can't describe what other people feel when they have anxiety, but for myself, it's when my thoughts go irrational, like I start fearing certain things that might not even be possible. Like, for instance, I hear that I have to meet Julie and we need to talk on Google Plus, and I'm sitting there going, okay, is it going to be the right time? Okay, and then I get obsessive over making sure that there's no mistakes, and then my anxiety raises up where my husband's like, if she doesn't catch you, then she'll email you, and then you just send it back. But I worry about the unexpected, and the anxiety affects me physically. I feel everything clutch up. My stomach starts saying, you're hungry when I'm not, and I start shoving food to try to stop the feeling I'm feeling. Sometimes it's my attention span. I'll be sitting there and then I can't pay attention to everything. It just seems overwhelming. That's anxiety for me.
Oh, sorry about that. Tony Yates is weighing in with a question and says, hey, Angela, I love your videos and relate to the fear you have at is at a healthy weight, what motivates you to maintain and stay that way?
I think it's because of the fact that I realize now that when I first started this journey, a lot of my weight loss came from wanting to be healthy and things. But health is more than just your physical body. I believe you need to have a spiritual body. I believe you need to have a balanced mind. And my journey still gets affected by not being balanced in the brain. So if I can balance my fears and feel good about that, it will help me physically. And I'm getting off topic. What I meant is physically I can be driven because I'm not there yet. I don't feel like I'm there yet. So I wake up in the morning and I say, I don't feel balanced. So this is the reason why I need to continue. And how I keep motivated is I write to-do lists. I write bucket lists, like, okay, what haven't I felt like I've accomplished yet? And then I write it out. And in that way I have always a goal to strive for. And that's how I'm motivated. So
another question that came in from LJB415 Abel, aka Lisa. She wants to know, are there any videos on belly dancing that you could recommend? Because she thinks she may have to pick it up as a new trade.
You know, the funny thing is, when I started belly dancing, I actually did pick one up that because I checked the reviews and things like that. And when I tried to do it on my own, it was impossible. I could not get the moves down. So my advice to you is you need to say to yourself, I'm going to go try one class of belly dancing and just try it. And that's what my best advice is, because honestly, the videos are too complicated. But when you're in the class, you pick up the feeling of the music, the spirit in the room, that it actually will make you feel a lot better than trying to do it to a DVD.
Mark is asking a question, and his question is, do you eat chocolate and soda pop at all these days? Would love to hear a little about what you eat. And I do know the answer to this because I seen it in a video last night, but I think people are going to be very interested in your answer to this.
So the question is, do I touch any of those still, right? The pop,
do you
the
still
chocolate?
Eat chocolate or soda pop these days at all? And what would love to hear a little bit about what you do eat.
Okay, so I think my journey started a long time ago because I realized that at a young age, I didn't want to have any things that have fake sugars in them. So I cut those out when I was young. And then when I was really bothered when I had my son, I was like, I'm not going to touch the pop anymore. It controls my life. So I gave that up, and it's been 5 years since I gave up the pop. The chocolate, I actually was getting a reaction in my body by a chiropractor, told me that I should cut it out, and I have not touched it. And it's been close to 3 years now that I haven't touched chocolate. And it's a blessing for me not to touch those two because my weight actually went down quite a bit from that. I also found that when I started my journey, I had read an article about red meat. And actually, it said that some precancer cell patients found that they were having a reverse reaction to meat, like they felt sick, they would turn red in the face, they would feel ill by the smell of it, the cooking of it, everything like that. And that's where I was at the beginning of my journey. I felt very ill from red meat. So I actually cut out red meat and pork and everything out of my diet. I actually went vegetarian for over 8 months. And my husband was more like, oh, you can't do that, your iron's getting low and things like that. So I did go back to eating chicken and turkey. Those are the two proteins I actually, and I do eat eggs and things like that. But mostly my diet consists of staying away from processed food, because as soon as I put it in my body aches, it hurts. I feel so sick. And mentally, my clarity goes away. I feel under the weather. So I try to stick to anything that is more closer to the source. Like I eat a lot of fruits, vegetables, a lot what Mark does, right? I see Mark's videos. He eats this, if this is the same Mark I'm thinking.
It is.
But he eats the salads and he eats all the healthy foods that, you can make homemade. Because I find even to this day, I go to a restaurant and I sit down and I eat and I turn red in the face and I feel nauseous and I wake up the next morning and I'm so dehydrated. So I've actually cut out a lot of my foods that way, and I just stick to listening to my body. So for instance, dates work for me. I'll eat dates and they don't make me feel sick and they take away my sugar craving. So I don't really am on a diet per se, but I do just try to stick to what makes me feel good.
We have a question from Zen Maiden. 2 questions. What is your biggest obstacle in the beginning, and what is it now, and have you overcome it? Oh, and where are you from? Because she hears your accent.
Canada, somewhere in Canada.
Yeah, I'm from Canada, born and raised in Canada. So
what is your biggest obstacle in the beginning, and what is it now, and then how have you overcome it?
Find the support at the beginning. I felt that everybody around me were so used to be taking care of them that when I started saying, okay guys, I need to change my diet, or oh guys, guys, I mean my kids and my husband. So my biggest obstacle was getting them on board. My son would stand there and I'd get him ready, and then he would say, Mom, stop exercising. Mom, stop exercising. And at first I was ready to throw in the towel. I was like, you know what? I'm taking away time from my son. This is not fair to him, things like that. But then there was little messages that came to me that if I don't take care of myself, I'm not going to make it possible to live past 54 for him. So I started saying to him, Mommy just needs this time to herself. Can you understand? And he was 2 at the time. Now he's 4. So he said, yeah, you know, he got it. After 6 months, he started to be okay until today, if anyone saw my video today, crawling underneath me, trying to get my attention. So, you know, it's a hit miss, but it's not such an obstacle like it used to be. Before, that was a big obstacle for me, believing in myself that I was important enough to do it. Now I find that my obstacles now is the lack of, because I just moved to this community, is finding the support outside of in my community. So I come onto YouTube. I have a lot of support here, and it's excellent. But my obstacle right now is convincing myself to join a community group, like a running club. I put that on my list I want to do. I want to do a running club and get over that social anxiety I suffer from, where I'm nervous about being around people who are saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing. So it's my fears now that there's obstacles to me, where before it was feeling that I deserved that time for myself.
We got a question actually from Monica, MD Experience 2011. She first says that she loves the burpee challenge that you're on, and she wants to know if you think you'll take it past 100.
Do you know what? It was, I have to give credit. Who got me started on it was, what is it, 300 pounds of running. He put the challenge out. And it came at the right time because my mind was just at a place where I couldn't kick the depression I was going through. But he put it out, and then I felt that inner, I've got to do this. I don't care if I get 1 burpee done or 2 burpee done, but I'm going to get to 100. And I started off, and I got to 14 days, and then I felt burnt out. And I was like, okay, I can quit this, but no, I'm not going to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, and you could tell in my video, I'm like, I'm going to go every second day, but I wasn't sure about myself. But now, today, I just completed 47 burpees, and I couldn't even do a push-up when I started my journey. Honestly, I've never done a push-up in my whole life, and now I can actually kind of, you know, not perfection, but do push-ups. So I am going to bring it to 100, but I do also get bored fast. So as soon as I accomplish that 100, I'm going to start doing a chin-up challenge. I'm going to get to 100 chin-ups. That's my next thing, because I can't do chin-ups. So I want to do chin-ups. So yeah, I'm not going to bring it past 100. I'm getting close to the 50, and it's hard. It's hard.
Zen Maiden Melody asks, are you a binge eater or an overeater? How do you manage it in your mind to overcome your urges?
This is pretty fresh for me right now, because when I came back from my cruise recently, I found that my emotional binge eating came back, and the way I've conquered it before is actually eating a raw diet. And when I eat a raw diet, it kind of clears out my body, so the cravings aren't trying to control my mind. And when I get rid of that, I deal with the self-talk. You know, it's more like stopping and being aware of, like, why am I eating? It's because I'm upset. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And then I, at that time, make my husband aware that I'm going through it. And that's the one thing that was scary for me, because I realized that I'm not the typical binge eater in the sense that I go and, because I've heard so much knowledge recently about turning on waters, turning on microwaves, you know, to hide out the sound. I don't do that. I'm my husband always says it, when you're going to binge, he sees it. I don't hide it. People are sitting there and then they become horrified because I'll just go whoa, 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 right in front of them. And I'm like, I can't help it. I just have to eat it. And so it's about my self-talk, because it's a behavioral thing for me. It's what am I trying to do? Am I trying to self-harm myself? Am I trying to rebel? It's almost like a little kid that's trying to rebel. That's the way I look at myself sometimes, you know. Because I remember once last year near my birthday, I ate a cake, and I started off with a little bite, and then I went back for more, and then before I knew it, the cake was gone. And I did not hide from it. I came down and said to my husband, well, say goodbye to that cake. And he said, what do you mean? And I said, well, I ate it all. And he's like, you gotta be kidding me. And I said, nope, I ate it all. So I don't know if it's an attention thing. You know,
well, I watched your video last night, and I want to tell you it was amazing, because as a binge eater who hasn't had a binge since January 1st and 2nd, and I'm really trying to learn as much as I can so that when the next one happens, I can be more in control or try to be in charge of it. You said something that will stick with me for a lifetime, and that was that when you binge and go ballistic, at least on some times, you didn't even taste the food. Whereas for me, I sit there and I will eat for hours and enjoy the taste of the food, and that's an important part of it for me. So I realize that mine is more of an addiction to the taste of the food and the euphoria that I get from eating it and the taste of it and stuff, whereas you couldn't even taste it because you were consuming it so fast and swallowing it. And it helped me understand what some of my issues may be. So just in watching your videos, I have learned amazing things. And Angela, you seriously have changed my life just from watching your videos last night. I mean, you really did. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for that.
Rob, that's so beautiful for you to say that. I understand where you're talking about. Yours is more of a taste of enjoyment, and it sends something to your brain that says, I am enjoying this. I deserve this. I love this, you know? Where I'm, like I said, I'm more behavioral. It's like, let's do as much damage as I can to myself, right?
Yeah.
I have a question. You know, you were talking about your husband a little just with your binge eating, but I know that for a while he wasn't working out with you, but now he is on board with the workouts, or at least he was on board with them. So what did you notice a change in your relationship with your husband when he got to be more on board with your new healthy lifestyle?
I've got a funny story about it that happened this weekend. So what happened was my husband wasn't on board. I cried. I was like, please, can we join each other? My kids were getting active with me. He was the last to come on board. This year, I think he realized that I was just concerned for his own health, because he was very, he has a very job that he sits at a desk all day and he doesn't get exercise, where in the previous jobs he has. So he realized he does want to get fit, and he started getting a membership, and we both go, but we go at different times. But this weekend we had a moment that probably helped our relationship. And it's going to sound funny, but we're sitting at a restaurant, and I said to him, look at these muscles, you know, look at these. And he started poking at them. And he's like, yeah, but look at mine. And I started touching his muscle. And then the waiter comes over and he goes, excuse me, I'm sorry to break up your intimacy, but can I put your food down? So it was kind of a funny moment for us, because before we wouldn't even talk to each other. We'd just be engulfed in our food and just, you know what I mean? It was a better experience. Here our kids are across the table. It wasn't like we were by ourselves. We were just joking around the fact that we're feeling good about ourselves. And I've seen such a change in my husband. He walked downstairs and he looked at me. He's like, yeah, I'm not wearing a shirt. What do you think? And I'm like, wow, you know, like he actually is excited about working out. And it's just fueled my workouts more, because we can share a common ground. And it just makes such a difference. But I've seen a lot of women that have started their journey, and you just have to be patient with your husbands if they do not have the same interest, because I really was scared. I was like, what happens if I'm into this but he isn't? But you know what? Eventually, it's like they say, live by example, right? And then eventually you do find these moments, it's like, wow, yeah, that's cool. You know, he still doesn't want to go to races with me. He's like, forget that, you know, like, he's like, forget that. You know, he has his own thing, but he wants to go fix his bike and go for bike rides. So it's about finding common ground.
I have a question about, you know, you've maintained your weight pretty much for the last year, you said. Um, was it harder than you thought it would be? Or was there like something that surprised you about it? Or, you know, was it like you expected it to be?
So when I started out, I wanted to be 140 pounds because that's the lowest I ever saw since I was like 18. So I wanted to be that, and I would just be happy if I had that. But when I got to that point, I started noticing that I was capable of more. So I started saying, well, I'm going to do the ideal weight chart. And then I started saying, there's no way I'm going to get it down. And I got my weight down, and it's been a struggle for me. It is one of my challenges because when I got down to 119 pounds, a lot of my fears come up about being too thin and things like that. Like I do have my issues with that stuff. And so maintaining it, I thought it would be I'd get down to the weight and then I'd be like, okay, look, now I just live a healthy life. I go work out once in a while, I eat proper, and I'll have it under control. But what's been surprising is all the stuff that is probably help to keep the weight on is coming up now, and I have to deal with that. And you know, my weight goes up and down, but honestly, it is great that I don't have to worry about, you know, what I used to worry about when I was overweight, but I have so much more to work on because the journey never stops, right? We walk one way and then all of a sudden it can gear you off on this path. And you just have to trust the process and just keep on going with it. And the best knowledge is when you get to maintaining your weight, stay away from the scale, because I think you're better off to try to find a healthy lifestyle and eat the way you're going to enjoy and keep moving your body. So
we have a couple questions coming in that are the same, so I'm going to lump them together. Diana K says, Angela, it sounds like you have perhaps OCD in many ways. Do you think you have OCD with all of the drivenness you say you need with the list and the perfection inspired things that you are going to do? And then also, Carol MS55 said, do you think it's OCD or just a control issue?
okay. See, when I first started this journey, I was a perfectionist, and yes, I do kind of have the traits of OCD. I do lock my door every night, and I have little routines I have to do to try to control my surroundings. But I did do a video once about post-traumatic stress, and I do suffer from that. So I have triggers and things like that. So if I feel like I'm controlling everything I'm doing, then more than likely I'm not going to encounter more triggers, and I'm trying to safe-proof myself from being exposed to something that's going to send me in a swirling mess of fear and things like that. So yeah, I am for sure someone that takes things to extreme, and I do like things in order, and I have to be at places before I need to be there, and I can't relax that way. So
That video was it was a really bold video that you came forward with, and it was amazing. I mean, it gave such an insight on your journey, and you know, I talked about this when Rob made his binge video, and to see people having all this courage on YouTube, and I made a video called Movement of Courage, where everyone was just coming out with all these different things about them, and it was such an amazing thing to see, because you know, I look at my own life, and for me, I don't have all these battles outside of just weight loss and what I'm doing with my life. And and you guys are fighting things from the past and things that are constant for you. And to see, you know, I might fight these little battles, but you guys are literally fighting a war. And I said that before. And it is, I mean, that's inspiring. And for you guys to just be forward with this, because there's other people that are dealing with weight loss that have these kinds of things going on, but, you know, they're ashamed to talk about it because, you know, they don't realize that other people are struggling with it. I think it's amazing that you're just willing to put it out there. So thank you for sharing that.
I think that YouTube has just become that kind of support that that encourages you to grow. If I was to sit amongst people that I know and talked about my past, it would be a lot more difficult for me because of the fact that they know me as a certain personal level, and it makes it really a lot more tough to like I get worried that they're going to judge me in some way and things like that. But when you put it out on YouTube, there's no one really there until they write their comments, and then you can take it after the fact. But if someone was to interact with you, it seems like you'd be like, why did I say that? Oh no, why did I put that out? But then someone comes back and says, thank you for sharing that. Like, for instance, Julie, yourself, just saying that, you know, it makes it worth exposing yourself at that level to give someone support that might not have a voice to say it, right? So.
All right, there's a question that came in from Lisa, and she says, do you think that you will ever be satisfied with where you are, physically speaking, just with your fitness? As a weight loss surgery person, we have goals, and once we lose, we maintain. Will you ever get to your happy medium?
You know, I think with weight, I'm there. I as long as I stay under 130 pounds, I'm happy that way. But there's just too many challenges out there that, you know, I'm 40 years old and maybe I want to prove something to myself that just because I'm 40 doesn't mean I can't live my life to its fullest. Like, try different classes. Like, tomorrow I'm going to try this gravity class I've never heard about, but I need to try it to see what I'm capable of, right? It actually drives my journey and it gives me purpose. I don't work right now presently. I stay home with my child, and those kind of accomplishments build my self-esteem, and it helps me to be a better mom, be a better wife, because I feel more happier with myself. So I think I'm just going to keep on striving, having those goal lists to keep me going, because it's just, that's healthy living in my eyes, right? Like, just keep on going and trying different things and conquering everything you can.
I think that's so important because as I get closer to my goal, you know, the scale doesn't, it's like, okay, I've been working all this time on losing weight, and then once I'm at my goal, it's like, well, then what? You know, I feel like I need something to shoot for. And that's where I feel like running has come in for me. It's given me goals and races to do and train for. And I think that's really important in a journey to set goals, whether it be like if you're a writer, writing goals or physical goals, things like that. I think it's so important to like have goals, because I was thinking about it. If I like lose all my weight and then I don't have any goals or anything that I'm striving for, I'm probably just going to sit around and then I'll be right back to where I started.
Yeah, I think some of us are driven by goals. I know for myself, why the Beachbody products work for me is because I have an end date, 3 months, boom, I can do it. And you know, you see my before and after and you're like, oh, does she want to get thinner? It's because it's consistent. It keeps me consistent. It makes me commit to something and be able to have a focus. Like, okay, yeah, this is what I'm working towards. And then I'll relax, and then I'll find, oh, wow, I need something to drive me again, because I don't have the job to go to and feel like, yeah, I had a really good day at work and things like that at this point in my life. So right now my focus is a lot of children and my fitness goals. So
Tina from the Prairie asked the question that she asks every episode. Do you know what that is, Angela?
Am I going to do kettlebells?
You got it.
You know
I'm
what?
I'm glad I didn't say that if you knew the answer, you would get $100, because then Philippe would have to pay you $100. Just saying, it's his stuff.
You know, blessed Tina, she's on my bucket list. I actually wrote that down because every time I go around the inside track, I see them off to the side. I'm like, man, I'm going to pay a personal trainer to teach me how to use those. And the same with the medicine balls, the same with the Olympic equipment. I've got goals in my head just floating around, just ready to try. And yes, Tina, I will try them for sure. Definitely.
Awesome.
All right, I have a question. It's based on one of the videos that you made, and you were talking about a number of friends, and even I believe it was some family members, but I remember one friend in particular, you went to her house for Canada Day, and you know, she just seemed to have turned on you after you lost the weight, and you even noticed people kind of talking about you and everything. Can you just talk about that? How did that feel, and why do you think people started reacting negatively, especially the women that you were around? Why do you think they reacted negatively when you started to lose weight?
Yeah, the interesting thing about that was my second obstacle I had to overcome in my journey was I found that what I did was, when I started this journey, I wanted to keep it quiet. I didn't want anyone to know I was working out. So I was in a community where no one saw me for a while, and I lost weight, and then I show up at these parties, and I think they're just stunned because they've only known me to be overweight, right? And at first it wasn't that the first party anyone said anything, but that's what it was. Before, people would come up and we'd sit down, we'd gab, and I didn't feel any different. And then all of a sudden I walk in, you know, I'm living the healthy lifestyle, and my husband says, it's weird, all the guys are paying attention and all the girls are just like, do not want to talk to you. Like, you could just see them avoiding you. And I said, why? Like, what have I done wrong? And then he said, you know, you just got to realize that they're not friends. Like, you just have to move on. And it's hard because you want to fit in. You want to feel that you're going to be supported no matter what. But you have to realize that they're focusing on their own journey, and maybe they see something in you and say, you know, oh, like, I wish I could do what she's doing. Because I've had people come to me and said, man, you're more driven than anyone else I know, kind of thing, when it comes to exercise. And that could be intimidating. So when I want someone to work out with me, it's really hard because people are like, yeah, no. So I was very excited about this mud run because my niece, one person that has never looked at me any different, I'm so blessed to have her in my life. She's 21 years old, and she said, I will do that mud run for you. And you know what? She's committed to it, and we're going to do it together. And where everybody else was more, I'm not sure how they felt, but it's like I get avoided. That's all. It's not that people literally say mean things to me anymore. They just don't say anything. They act differently. And it was hard for me because I wanted to put on the weight. I wanted to put on the weight so that I didn't have to deal with this anymore. Maybe they would be like, oh, she failed. Excellent. Oh, we'll accept her again. That's in my head, right? But then I'm like, what am I sacrificing for that? I'm sacrificing my health, and it's not enough. So I kept with what I was doing, and I decided that I'm going to join a running group and just surround myself with people that do the same thing I do in a healthy lifestyle and hope for the best.
Julie, do we have time for one more question?
Yeah.
Okay, because I need an explanation on this. And I think I know a little bit, and I think a lot of people probably think this question but never ask it. Now, Canada celebrates a day called Boxing Day. Mm-hmm. And I always thought, why the hell would any country just look at boxers and think that this sport is great and have this day of boxing? And then I think that I found out that it has something to do with presents and shopping, which would be like our day after Thanksgiving. Our Black Friday is what we call it. So can you explain to all the viewers what Boxing Day is in Canada? Because I never knew.
Yeah, that's the interesting part. It's like your Black Fridays, but even me living in Canada, I've gone over to Black Fridays and yours are insane. Like you got to watch out, get your protective gear on. Our Boxing Day is right after Christmas. It's to sell out all their Christmas stuff or sell out all their stock so they don't have to put it away for another year. So Boxing Day is like, for instance, if you want to get your Christmas wrapping, you go there and you could get it cheap and then put it away for next Christmas. So it's a shopping day. It's just purely for retailers to be able to try to get rid of their inventory. It's just like Black Friday.
How many people do you think thought it had to do with the sport of boxing?
I don't know. That you're the first one I've ever heard say that.
I would have guessed that.
So.
Yeah. And the only reason I know about Black Friday was because when I lived in BC, I was closer to the border, so we used to go over in Montana, and my husband's like, let's go Black Friday. I'm like, when the hell is a Black Friday? Like, that doesn't make sense to me, right? Like, what does it have to do with the color, black, you know? Like, It just didn't make sense to me. And he said, it's that the prices are really cheap. And I'm like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
And then I saw it, and I was just like, okay, this is insane.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to ask this last question. How hard were the last 15 pounds for you? And that question is all for me.
Pounds. Okay, so what I find is if I want to get the last 15 pounds off, it was always use the Fitness Pal and use them to exercise to my extent. Plus also it was what is that called? The tracking system where I use. I can't even think of it right now. I just went blank. It's not my Fitness Pal. It's anyways, I track my food and I have to be very strict to get those 15 pounds off. So it's because my metabolism is very high. I'm very blessed with my mother's genetics, and I could burn off stuff really quick. So those 15 pounds were more kept on because of emotional things for me. As soon as I could focus on working out and being consistent with my food, I could get it off. But I've seen several people where they're 15 pounds. Well, before when I first started gaining weight, those 15 pounds were hell to get off for me. Mm-hmm. You have to be kind of strict, right? Like it's like what they say, abs are made in the kitchen and not in the gym, right? So.
All right. Well, I can't believe it. Did it go fast for you?
Yeah.
The
I'm
hour's
red in
up.
the face, so I'm embarrassed. So.
No, you did great. We had an awesome show, and I'm sure there's other questions that we ask that you go back and respond to them, and then there's tons of compliments. So make sure you go back and read all of those. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you guys for having me. You've helped me in my journey so much.
And everybody go over and subscribe, which will be in the links below the video, Khalif after it posts or whatever. Make sure you go over to her channel and subscribe because I'll be the first one to admit I didn't watch Angela as much as I should have, and I'm addicted. She is amazing and just a lovely person. And thank you for sharing your knowledge and your wisdom. Truly amazing guest.
Thank you, Rob.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing the show, and thank you for supporting me for I don't even know how long, but you always leave such wonderful comments, and we always have good discussion in the comments section in my videos and your videos, so I'm glad to have you.
I've been following you since June of last year. I started noticing you on posts, and I was like, who's this guy? Who's this guy? So so it was great to get to know you personally. So
yeah, thank you. Have a great day. Night, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to wrap it up here real quick, telling you guys what's going to be coming up the next 3 weeks. It's going to be amazing. Next Tuesday is questions and answers with your co-host here. It's going to be an amazing show. No question, comment, topic is off limits. Get your questions ready for us because it's going to be amazing.
All right, and then the next week, which is May 7th, we're going to have Lovable Curves Maxie on, and you don't want to miss that. She's lost close to 100 pounds so far on her journey. and she's very motivational, has a lot of energy and a lot of insight to this journey.
And on the 14th, the week after that, we are going to have Sarah from Less of Sarah is the name of her channel. And she is amazing, and you watch her videos, and her personality is just addictive. And she has done a great job. She is a weight loss surgery patient, and she has so much to offer this community. And she's so well spoken, just a classy woman. And I can't wait to have her on the show.
Yeah, I can't wait either. I mean, we have a lot more guests lined up, and so we're excited about the show, and just want to thank you guys so much for all the support. Thank you for interacting with each other, for interacting with our guests, and interacting with us.
Bye, everybody. Have a good night.
Good evening.
Good night.